We've all seen homeless people on the streets, lying on a bench, sleeping on the sidewalk, or under a bridge. People struggling to make ends meet, wondering if they're going to have a meal today. It's a sad reality, and it's a problem that the United States has been dealing with for decades. Can it be solved? Well, it's complicated. How can someone be homeless? Just buy a house, right? Well, no. Obviously, the main problem is the lack of affordable housing. The cost of living in the US is incredibly high, and this means that many people simply can't afford to pay for a roof over their heads. Housing prices have increased significantly in many parts of the United States over the past few decades, while salaries haven't kept pace with these increases. According to data from the US Census Bureau, the median home value in the United States was $338,200 in 2020, which is up from $210,200 in 2000. This represents an increase of 61% over 2 decades. On the other hand, real median household income in the United States was $67,521 in 2019, which is up from $62,000 in 2000. This represents an increase of only 8.8% over 2 decades, which is significantly lower than the increase in home prices over the same period. Rent prices have also increased in many parts of the United States, particularly in urban areas with high demand for rental housing. Again, according to data from the US Census Bureau, the median rent for a primary residence was $1,062 per month in 2020, up from $602 per month in 2000. This represents an increase of 76% over 2 decades. You can show this to your parents when they say you could have your own place if you just canceled your Netflix subscription and stopped buying that stupid iced white chocolate mocha from Starbucks all the time. The days of people straight out of college buying their own place in a couple of years with their salaries are long gone. And with the pandemic, it has become even harder. Landlords raised rents while people lost their jobs, leading to an increase in homelessness. When you look at the distribution of homeless people in the United States, one state comes into attention, and that is California. California has the highest amount of homeless people in the entire country. But why? We've mentioned cost of housing as the #1 reason of homelessness, and California has one of the most expensive and fastest growing housing markets. Between 2000 and 2021, home values more than tripled in most metro areas in the Golden State. As of March 31, 2021, the typical home value in California was $775,000, double the levels in New York and Florida and triple the level in Texas. The median rent for a 2-bedroom apartment is well over $3,000 in the Bay Area, more than twice as much as the national average of $1,200. In more than 2/3 of California's zip codes, families are rent-burdened, as they spend more than 30% of their income on rent. High housing costs are rooted in both demand and supply-side factors. On the demand side, California boasts robust jobs and household income growth. Between 1990 and 2017, high-paying industries embraced the most vigorous job growth. Information technology went up by 127%, education and health services 107%, and professional and business services by 84%. In 2021, the state accounted for 44% of the nation's new jobs that year. While the housing demand has surged, the supply has fallen short of the national average since 1991. The supply shortage is exceptionally sharp in coastal cities. For example, San Francisco added 38,000 new jobs from 2016 to 2018, but built only 4,500 new housing units. California ranks 49th among all US states for housing units per capita. One key factor intensifying the housing supply shortage is the single-family zoning and local opposition to housing, often embodied by the "not in my backyard" or NIMBY sentiment. Each additional growth control policy a community added was associated with a 3 to 5% increase in home prices. Another factor is the high costs and uncertainties in housing development related to lengthy entitlement processes, which include zoning changes, permit applications, standards variances, site plan reviews, design reviews, and EIRs, which is environmental impact reviews required by the California Environmental Quality Act. For projects that required an EIR, the average timelines for approvals were 43 months in Los Angeles and 77 months in Santa Monica. Legislative efforts have been made in recent years to accelerate housing production, subdivide lots, and relax certain zoning restrictions to allow for more home building. Senate Bill 35 was signed into law in 2017, aiming to streamline the approval processes for multifamily housing development. Senate Bill 9 was ratified 4 years later, allowing many homeowners to build additional units on their property or subdivide their land into 2 lots. While this could help create more than 700,000 new homes that would otherwise not be market feasible, owner occupancy requirements may mean that only a share of that potential will likely be developed. Despite the recent policy achievements, the housing supply shortage will persist in the near future. Moving on from California, there are many complicated factors causing the homeless problem, and there are different types of homeless people. The chronically homeless, people who have been continuously homeless for at least a year or experienced homelessness at least 4 times in the last 3 years for a combined length of at least a year, are in dire need of help. Most of these people suffer from disabilities, mental health issues, or addiction. Without the proper treatment and resources, they're unable to get the help they need as they can't hold jobs. According to the data from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, there were approximately 580,000 people experiencing homelessness on a single night in January 2020. Chronically homeless people currently make up 19% of that population. Other demographics include veterans and domestic abuse survivors. Many veterans suffer from PTSD, and as a result, they can get addicted to drugs. But thankfully, veteran homelessness decreased 47% nationwide since the point at which it peaked in 2009. Then there's the other demographic, domestic abuse survivors. People who are fleeing domestic violence can become homeless as a result of leaving their homes to escape their abusers. They're less likely to stay on the streets for a long time as help is generally available. Now, is there anything being done against all these issues? Of course. The federal government provides funding for a range of programs that aim to prevent and end homelessness, including the Housing Choice Voucher Program, the Emergency Solutions Grants Program, and the Continuum of Care Program. These programs provide funding for housing assistance, case management, and supportive services for people experiencing homelessness. Many cities and states have implemented homelessness prevention strategies, such as providing financial assistance to help families avoid eviction or homelessness, offering rental assistance to help low-income families afford housing, and providing legal assistance to tenants facing eviction. Some cities have implemented inclusionary zoning policies that require developers to include a certain percentage of affordable units in new developments. They also provide emergency shelter to people experiencing homelessness, particularly during periods of extreme weather or other emergencies. While these are all important, many advocates argue that more needs to be done to address the root causes of homelessness, including poverty, lack of affordable housing, and insufficient access to healthcare and social services. There is ongoing debate about the most effective strategies for preventing and ending homelessness, and efforts to address this issue are likely to continue in the coming years. Another reason why homelessness persists in the US is the lack of coordination between these government agencies and nonprofit organizations. There are hundreds of organizations and government agencies working to combat homelessness, but the lack of communication and coordination between them often results in duplication of services, gaps in coverage, and inefficiencies in delivering services. Now, while all of this is incredibly serious, there are some crazy facts about homelessness that you might not know about. For example, did you know that in some cities, it's illegal to feed the homeless? Yep, you heard that right. In places like Houston, it's actually illegal to feed homeless people without a permit. Which begs the question, how do you get a permit to feed the homeless? And who's in charge of handing them out? Lastly, there are some incredible organizations and charities out there that are working to make a difference. For example, there's an organization called Lava Mae that converts old buses into mobile showers and toilets for the homeless. This allows them to have access to basic hygiene, which can make a huge difference in their lives. But despite these efforts, homelessness in the US continues to be a widespread problem. There is no definite solution to it. We need to get deep into its roots. It all stems from other problems like unemployment, mental health, substance abuse, housing prices, etc. Without solving these first, we can't solve homelessness. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe.